Welcome to this video. In this video, we will be discussing about LLM prompting and reasoning strategies. Think of this way, LLM is kind of a child. When you ask the question with a proper example, the child will understand your question and respond back to you. However, if a question is not properly defined, the answer may not be accurate. The same rules applies to LLM. When you ask the question to LLM, if you define your question in a way LLM can understand, there is a better chance that you will get a proper answer. To do that, we have to follow a certain strategies. That is what we are going to discuss in this video. Take a simple problem statement. We have a train that leaves at 2 p.m., travels 3 hours, 40 kilometers per hour. We just wanted to know how far it did go and when did it arrive. There are many strategies. However, we will not be discussing all of these strategies. We will be discussing only few of those strategies that we consider as a popular ones. The first one is the zero shot. As the name suggested, you will be asking a direct question. There is no samples provided. There is no extra steps involved. For instance, you will be asking, hey, what is the capital of France? You really don't have to pass any samples for that. So likewise, these questions are very straightforward. So you will be directly asking the question to the LLM. Let me ask for ChatGPT. So it is going to directly tell me that the distance traveled it's 120 kilometers and the arrival time it's 5 p.m. Few shots you will be providing some samples. For instance, here I'm saying bus traveled 50 kilometers at 50 kilometers per hour speed 1 hour, which means that it traveled 50 kilometers, arrived at 1 p.m. So I have provided some sample here based on which it will execute the given task, right? So in this case, it says that based on the provided sample, it calculates the result. For instance, let me ask you another question here. So in this case, if you see here, I'm just saying this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, and what is this? So now based on the provided sample, it is going to tell me that this is a negative one. So in this case, I'm providing some samples based on which the GPT will execute this. Then we have a reflection, views its own output and confirms if it is correct, right? So in this case, if you see here, the question will be the same, but the prompt answer the problem and then review your solution, right? So which means that model will come to a solution, but it will review the solution, right? Let me copy paste the prompt here. So it is just telling me that this is the problem and this is how I'm calculating. Answer is this, and then it is reviewing that. So when you really want the LLM to review the answer, then you can use the reflection. The next one is self-consistency. Think of this way: you are in the math exam and you are trying to solve a specific problem. You have a solution, however, you are not convinced, so you will redo the same problem one more time uh, to get a new result. So you will repeat this process multiple times. So that is exactly what the self consistency does. So it solves the problem multiple times and based on the majority chooses the final answer. Now let me execute. So it is going to execute the solution multiple times, and based on the majority it is going to choose the final answer. So if you see here at the down, it says that the majority based on the majority chooses the final answer. Then we have a chain of thought. Chain of thought, it's solving the solution step by step, right? So now we will break this problem into multiple steps and solve the problem one after another. So let me execute so that it will be easy for us to understand. So here I'm saying solve the problem step by step. So first it calculates the distance, then it calculates the arrival time, finally it reviews and provides the final answer. So it's similar to chain of thought. However, you will be having n number of branches which will execute chain of thought. So let me run it again. So in this case, it is going to create a multiple branches, and each branch will execute its own chain of thought, and finally it will choose the final answer based on the majority. So if you see here, like it executes multiple time, and then chooses the best one, right? So likewise, if you see here, it chooses the multiple strategies. For each one it chooses the strategy, and it come to a conclusion. So this is pretty similar to the self consistency. However, like the only difference here is that when you talk about a chain of thought or a tree of thought, every time it execute, the plan changes. So React, it's like identify it first identifies the reason, and then it executes the tool to perform an action. For instance, you wanted to send an email. So first it will identify that hey, the user is asking me to send an email, so that is the reason. And then like for that reason it will execute a tool like send email. That particular tool it will execute, that is react reason plus action. It's a react. Now if I just take it, so in this case what it is going to do is that it is first going to identify the reason. So reason is that hey, I need to identify the distance and the arrival time, and it will perform the calculation, right? Now let's move forward. So in order to say you have a complete prompt, and these are all the four things probably you have to have it. First one is the instruction. It's maybe a very generic instruction that you wanted to, or maybe set of a rule that you wanted to enforce. And the primary content, it's like what exactly you wanted to pass it to the LLM, including the question. And samples, you provide some sample. And then finally you can also specify what is the output format that you wanted to have it. So now let me build this one. So if you see here, I have this complete final prompt ready. If you see here, there is an instruction says that follow the task carefully and provide the clear reasoning. And then this is the content, and I provided some sample, and I'm saying this is the output format. And now let me take it, let me provide it here. So now it is going to follow the instructions, right, step by step, and finally it is giving me the answer, the format that I wanted to have it. So if you just go up here and see what is the format that I wanted, this is the format that I wanted, and it is exactly giving me the format. Sometimes you wanted to have it as a JSON, sometimes you wanted to have it as a plain text, so you can control the format. So make sure you have a prompt. Whenever you create a prompt, you consider all of these, so that way LLM will have the complete information. What now, which prompt strategy I need to select, right? So for simple question, for instance, you are talking about hey, will it rain today, or what is the capital of India, or whatever is that. So in this case you just go with a zero or few chart. Math and logical ones, you have to go with chain of thought. That is external tools. Of course, you have to go with the React. You are making a call to the tools, right? And then a high accuracy, you can go with reflection. Planning, you can go with tree of thoughts. And we also have a system instructions, right? So let's assume that you are building a agent. So in that case, you will be providing the system instructions. So there are two type of instruction that we are talking about here. One, as an end user, I will be providing a prompt. Number two, as a developer, I will be providing a instruction to the agent, right? So now we are talking about the second phase, where I am creating an agent. For the agent, I want to provide an instruction. So in that case, there are quite a few things that we need to consider. Role, you have to clearly say that what kind of an agent is this. So here I'm saying that you are a friendly travel advisor. So this agent is going to be a travel advisor. So the role is going to be a travel advisor. Tools, you can use the search tool to look up the information. Style, you always respond cheerful and hopeful tone. Task instruction, so you have to break the request into subtask and execute. Constraint and safety, you do not ask for personal information. So these are all the things that you can consider for your system instructions. To some of the samples here. For the conversational agent, you say like you are a friendly travel agent to create the user. Here like we are talking about the roles, and then like let's assume that you have an agent that uses the tools to perform an action. You clearly say that these are all the tools that you have at your disposal. Planner agent, you say that hey like you have to decompose the user request into subtask, plan each step and confirm the plan before execute. Safety concierge agent, you clearly say that you provide a clear and accurate information. Never ask the personal information, including password, personal details. Also, like make sure you do not say anything that you are really not sure about prompt engineering in this particular website. This video. Thank you for watching.